Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Abraham coming directly to you from Los Angeles, California. I would like to introduce you to my podcast, Leadership in Politics, where I interview thought leaders in their field, whether management, in business, in leadership, with the intention to benefit you, enlighten you, educate you, share the insights of these talented thought leaders with you. On today's episode, I welcome Dr. Oleg Konovalov. Without any further ado, let's have our conversation with Dr. Oleg. So let me go ahead and bring Dr. Oleg in and we'll go together. Dr. Oleg, how are you?
Thank you. Dr. Abraham, thank you very much for inviting, and it's a great honor. Thank you.
It's been a while since we planned this one. COVID came in and you were busy, I am busy, and finally we're here. So I thank you for your time. And we're going to make this one a special conversation today so everybody will benefit from it. The point of these shows or podcasts is it's like a training on demand. In a way, we're going to share this knowledge with you, the insights with you. You have a professional specialist, a thought leader, going to guide you right there and then, give you all the inputs and insights you need to build your organization. Dr. Oleg is the leader that you can learn from. I'm a fan of his, and I'm honored to have him on and share this conversation with you. Dr. Oleg, what I'd like to do, if I may, with your permission, is to go through your contribution to the science of leadership, to what you have contributed. And I am, and I'm sure many of students of leadership are appreciative of what you've done. So if you allow me, I want to share with our audience, readers, some of the work you've done. And if we go here together and we see this, do you see the screen here? Do you see it with me, Dr. Oleg?
I'm amazed.
This is amazing, isn't it?
Oh,
so
yes,
so you have Leaderology. This is a manifesto, one of my favorite books. We're going to talk about each one of these. We have Organizational Anatomy, Corporate Superpower, Business Brilliance, and Hidden Russia. So let's go ahead and talk about Leaderology. Tell me a little bit about this. Is, as I told you, it's a manifesto. Every leader should have it, and I'm going to put my words to it and give you the endorsement. Every business school and business leadership should have this book as a mandatory book to read for their students. This is an endorsement based on feedback that personally I read, and I know the insight in this book. Tell me a little about this book.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. This is using your approach. Yes, I could say this is a manifesto because I have learned in a hard way most of these lessons in my practical business, right, over the years. We tend to talk about leadership as a function, but the thing is, we are far beyond this basic understanding. We're moving into, as I call it, to the renaissance of management and leadership. So we should consider leadership as a system of creating and growing other people. So which demands vision, serendipity in finding right solutions, and of course growing people. It's not about process. It's about a system which creates a new system of growth, engagement, empowerment. And this is very, very specific because it can be done in a two-dimensional, call it world. It's all about being in different organizations, in different cultural settings, how we lead people, what kind of properties do we need, how organizations are different. We all talk about that organizations are similar. No. In Leaderology, I'm expanding my findings from organizational anatomy. It's a typology of organizations, which organizations are different in terms of how they acquire resources, what their main assets, what kind of value they offer to their customers, and it's very, very different. But in general, I started it with a letter to myself, because I was thinking, hold on, if I'm thinking we do something wrong now, but how wrong and how it is different comparing like 20, 30 years ago. And I just sat and I took a note what I've been considered doing right, let's call it 25, 30 years ago. And I realized what kind of mistakes we made.
We
And
made
we
a
still
lot of
continue,
mistakes. We made a lot
and
of
we still
mistakes.
continue them to do them. So we're dragging old past problems. So more or less, if we are repeating the same mistakes again and again, they become more and more costly
Yes.
and dangerous. Or, you know, we are very good at increasing problems. I wrote in the book what problem is, because we talk problem solvers and all this. We're using this problem terminology quite a fancily, but problem is what distances organization from its customers or leaders from his or her people.
Yes. How long did it take you, if I may say? How long did it take you to write this book?
To write, I'm slow writer. You know, it might take me quite a few months, but research for it takes much, much longer.
That's what I meant.
Because
the whole thing, the whole process.
It's a whole process. It takes about 3 years.
I would
and
believe
it's
that.
based on testing, interviewing people, then testing those models, because I offer quite a few models in this book, or approaches, where people could really grab them and go and put it into practice immediately.
Yes.
And it's not a matter of making a tiny difference, it's a matter of making an ultimate difference.
Yes.
You know, between 40% plus and 100%, whatever, is to become a really organization of the 21st century. And
Very
of course,
true.
you know, being in a position, not just writing or, you know, putting words on a paper, but I'll put it another way, apologies. I'm a solution finder. I'm not a content creator. And therefore, my aim is to bring a real value. So I'm confident whatever chapter people would open, they will find a real solutions.
I agree to that. And I like what you just said. You're a solution finder. You look for the challenge and you find a solution for that challenge. And you're creating an environment which is very helpful to world leadership. You also mentioned we made mistakes throughout these years, and we did. And if we repeat them, we're doing something very bad, actually. We're hindering the progress of our humanity, the human experience. And people like you, Dr. Oleg, and the people we have in common as well, thought leaders in common with that we know, make the difference. So I really commend you for what you've done. And this book, please, Leaderology, is a book that you must read. I'm saying this as an endorsement to him because I know the insights are very valuable. So if you're a leader out there, please pick up this book. If you're a university, a leadership academy, make this book mandatory. Let's go to the second book, which you already touched on, Organizational Anatomy, which you touched on. Give me a little bit of brief before we go to corporate superpower, and then we go to business brilliance, because although we're introducing your contribution here, there's more to it, to this interview, than just talking about these beautiful books and insightful books. We want to talk about vision. We're going to talk about passion and purpose and culture. So we're going to put more time for all of these. And I'm looking forward to your insight on these. Tell me about organizational anatomy. What is it all about? What's the premise?
It was quite interesting. The book itself, Organizational Anatomy, was an incredible journey for myself. You know, when I was working on it, I was trying to find an understanding how we should define organization as it is, right? And so how to structure people, and I came to a simple solution. We can't create anything more clever than ourselves. We copying selves, or we copying the nature around us. And I decided to look at organizations purely from biological perspective, and of course pragmatic perspective.
Yes.
And therefore it allowed me to identify a typology of organizations. What does it mean? We have 5 archetypes. It's like Carol Linney old days offered the classification of animals, how they're different. I came in this book with clear classifications of 5 organizational archetypes: producers, knowledge-dependent organizations, donor-dependent, location-dependent, and state-affiliated organization. This was extended actually and more justified in leaderology. And the thing is, it allowed to define optimal configuration of organizations, because bank, which is a knowledge-dependent organization, would be very different from producers, or supermarkets as location-dependent organizations. Their optimal structures are different. Their optimal configurations are different. But that allowed me to look at pathologies and organizational diseases, typical and atypical, which can be treated. You know, you could diagnose them and you could treat them, so you could make your company more effective.
Yes.
And this was some kind of a breakthrough at all days, and it really helps a lot. And as far as I'm receiving messages from different countries, people really benefited from that approach.
There
and
are
I'm
benefits,
really
yes.
excited.
Yes.
I'm really excited about this, because it was many attempts to look at or explain organizations, are they biological or live creatures? But how live? What makes them?
What brings life to an organization? Let's put it this way. We know an organization is an entity. What's an entity? Okay. So what brings life to this organization? What makes it happen?
Okay, let's put it very simple. Entity is, in fact, is just a piece of paper about incorporation, right? This is entity, but all the rest, people.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what kind of a value a group of people create to satisfy a certain needs of customers.
Objectives, goals, vision, mission statement, yes. So can I say it safely to say what brings life to an organization, based on what you just told us, is the people that work for this organization or within this
Absolutely.
organization. Okay, so let's go, thank you so much for that. Let's go to corporate superpower. What happened here?
I laugh, and I really keen to look not at the narrow points, but at big things which defines the critical mass of success. Corporate culture. This is a real superpower behind every success. But culture, in my view, is an inner energy of organization, which consists of talents, efforts, competences of all people involved, and which is directed to the achievement of a goal of organization. And this is energy, this superpower, must be properly managed and so structured to understand it. Because, for instance, we talk about engagement as
Yes.
one single fact, but what's that engagement? Engagement consists of several elements: job satisfaction, respect, creativity, your responsibility. So it's a number of factors that makes people really feel engaged. Loyalty. It's not a standalone point, because if you don't have a respect in a company, you wouldn't get loyalty. And all of them to be won. We hardly
Actually, how
talk
about
that.
trust? How do you bring trust to this formula?
Trust is critical, but I was just been about to say that modern leaders are paid for creating or generating metaphysical resources. What do I mean? Metaphysical resources is resources which are born and generated and cultivated within human interaction. Trust, it's teamwork, shared vision, professionalism, accountability. You know, it's all comes into play because leaders are responsible for that. They're paid for this because none of the leaders can change a capitalization of a building because it's a market issue.
Yes.
But what they could do, they could increase because of influencing trust, teamwork, innovation,
Transparency, open communications.
Yeah,
All of these elements.
it increases effectiveness of performance of the organization. If we have a goal, we need a high, strong goal. We need a high performance, and that performance resides on the strong metaphysical resources.
Yes. Thank you for that. Let's go to business brilliance. And this is a brilliant book as well.
Yeah,
so you have
this is actually
volume 1 box set. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a box of the books, and which publisher kindly put together, you know, and made it up. But it's another book which would be, I believe, published in the spring 2021, which a working title so far is the Vision Code, because I managed to demystify what vision is, how to create it, how to construct it.
We'll talk about it very soon.
Yeah. And one of my colleagues asked me, why I didn't wrote about vision? You've always been keen on it straight from very beginning. I said, no, I can't, because vision is too big. It's bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than an organization. I must develop a strong, solid foundation of everything before I will talk about vision, because it's too big.
Yes. So this book is an upcoming book in 2021. I also like to commend, so I see two of the books, Organizational Anatomy and Corporate Superpower, those you wrote by yourself, but then you have other authors, Harry Roger Williams and David Clive Price. I just want to commend them as well and mention them since I'm commending your work and insight on this. Hidden Russia, let's talk about that briefly before we go into our vision. Hidden Russia, what's the story there?
Hidden Russia, you see, we are so different, every society, in terms of how we manage informal relationships in business and society. And this is purely from the macroeconomics approach, because it allows us to create social trust. It defines how we operate within networks in terms of allowing access to informal resources, how we support each other, how we view reciprocity, how we understand, or how we say some kind of a informal code of conduct, how we see it in every society is very different. And so, for instance, in the Western societies, like in the USA or in the UK, we still consider that relationships are either strong or weak. Where Russia, for instance, is very complicated, has strong, intermediate, weak ties, kinship, and so it has 10 personal networks which are very different. And so access is to resources they control is very, very different.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you. Russia, as of now, like today's Russia, is it individualistic society, or is it as the US and some Western?
It's strongly individual. Whatever is declared that it's collectivist society, it is not. It's very individualistic. You probably know or heard that Russians are not smiling much, particularly to strangers. It's very simple. People are not smiling because they don't know, they don't smile to strangers. They're very open and good within their small groups.
I see.
You know, if they will see somebody or their friend on the street or meet suddenly, whatever, they will, you know, they will show all the best gestures. But as soon as a stranger, they're just like blank.
So now we go into a homogeneous society versus heterogeneous society. So Russia, as of now, is a homogeneous society, and it's kept that culture. For what reason? Why? Why do societies become homogeneous, or even organizations? Because hopefully, probably in another recording, we can do something about heterogeneous and homogeneous and how cultures are built onto these concepts. So why Russia is homogeneous? What do you think? What are they afraid of?
It's a matter how these people are considered by the state, by the government. Because if they feel that pressure all the time, it's some kind of a self-defense mechanism in them.
For what purpose?
Yes, and it was generated about 100 years ago.
Okay.
Because what happens when Russian Revolution happened? The functions of the social classes were destroyed.
Okay.
But the main problem is the functions of classes were destroyed, and so people become enemies to each other. But people still social creatures. They're still being attached to their families or to their friends. Yeah, it's cultural. Plus, Russia is high context culture, so it's a matter how people could exchange few words and understand each other. If they are not catching up within, after saying few sentences, okay, I don't accept this guy, you know. So you got to be careful with what you play. Even they have own definitions of how they will support each other or how they define trust. It's very different. But it was something to look at, because business is not purely organization itself. It's an environment in which the organization exists. And that defines a lot. It's a ground. It's either fertile ground or hostile ground.
So in Hidden Russia, you cover some of what you just mentioned. So it's the culture, it's a book about culture and social issues, right? What we don't know about Russia. Excellent. Okay.
Yes, it's more or less, it's intro into real Russia.
It's the real Russia, behind the scene, the Russia that we don't see.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Let's talk about, there's one more thing I want to talk about before we go into our thing is, tell me about the certification program you just established. I know I read something about that, and I want you to share with us. What is it?
I created a 6-step process. I call it caviar.
Okay.
Right?
Caviar, Russian caviar.
Yeah.
But it is literally, okay.
Yeah, but because actually, the first one is clarity of creation. Let's see, you know, because vision is not a gift, it's a conscious awareness of a problem you want to solve. And it must be supported by learning, listening, your instincts, you know, your grasp of environment. So it's a number of factors. Then the A stands for ability, because it's a matter how vision is big, huge.
Yes.
As you must be able to handle it. So you must grow your ability to handle it, to execute it. So it's ability to grow as a visionary leader, which is quite different from being just an ordinary leader, because it demands courage, constant learning, constant growth of inner excellence. It demands confidence and credibility. And of course, it's very important. I call it a knowledge bank, because it's not your sole property, it's a collective property, vision.
Yes. Yes.
And so you must engage all your team in growing that knowledge base to fit that vision, fit that execution of the vision. So then you need to have vision is a beauty of sorts, but it must be structured clearly to make it functional.
Let's define vision. Tell me what a vision is. Let's go into vision. Let's go into our topic, what we want to talk about. Tell me what a vision is.
Vision is, in my view, is aspiration for the future which I want to make it real or bring it to reality. Okay. But actually, I talked to a big number of really great visionaries from across the globe, from US, Canada, UK, India, Arab Emirates, Russia, Nigeria, from different countries. People defined vision slightly differently all the time. And what I realized, vision...
What's in common? What's in common?
Common is aspiration for the future. Okay. But the reason for this is simple. Vision, if you created it, is your son or your daughter, and you have full rights to name it, to give her a name. Okay. And so, but the core things is future reality that you making or creating today defines what vision is. It's not a statement. It's huge power that you strive to control and make it valuable for many people, for millions.
So this is the quote I want to talk about, or actually share it with our audience. So in one of the posts, you said a vision is created by one and benefited by others, right? Others benefit from it.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
If you think what vision and what leadership or visionary leadership is about, the purpose of leadership and so of vision is act for people, act with people, and act for their needs. Vision is created to add value to people. As a visionary leader, my job is to show people their place in the future for which they will fight. My job is to start rolling that red carpet for them now, and if they step on it, they want to stay on it. It's not a promise. It's clear definition. You will be there. You will get this.
So it's a defined inspiration of sort that a determined leader, if he has it or she has it, definitely will succeed to reach a point. Now, for those leaders out there that they don't know what the vision is, so let's talk about organizational vision now. And I would like you, if you may, because the new trend now is purposeful leadership. Yes. And a vision without a purpose, it really doesn't serve us well, does it? You need a purpose with this vision. So if you have an organizational vision, mission statement of sort, how do we, based on your insight, and I want to know this, so these people out there will benefit from this insight, and please listen to it. How can you connect? First, how do you create vision? For someone that doesn't know what a vision, they're learning from you what's a vision now. But for someone doesn't know how to create a vision, first, how do you create a vision? Or does it come naturally, or do you work on it? So you establish an organization, you really have to put things in place for it to be established and design it. So a vision and mission statement has to be built. How do you build it first? Second is, how do you link and align your vision with a purpose? I'm looking for a purpose that serves society. I don't want only the shareholders. I want, you know me, my line of thinking is company, the employees and customers. So, and then of course now society and the community. How do you align this vision? First, how do you create a vision? Second, how do you align this vision to a purpose?
As I mentioned, is vision comes when your conscious awareness of a problem reaches its peak, right? So that is your highest purpose.
That's the vision itself as a definition. How about an organizational vision?
It's the same. Why this organization exists.
Okay, good.
You know, it's not, okay, our purpose is to create, I don't know, to build the ships. the ships, right? Or ship constructing company. Or create some kind of a clever software. Fantastic. But what's your highest purpose? How are you changing the things? Because Intel, for instance, they've been great at creating microprocessors. Then they changed their approach to, and they became best in the chips, these clever things. So their purpose is to make things real, valuable, for creation of software or something like that. But their vision is where they're leading the market, where they're leading the people, how it works. It's different.
Is serving society part of the vision?
It is the main thing. It's not a mission statement,
Exactly.
because people often crossed between vision and mission statement. The mission statement is more of my promise to a society, but it's more like immediate promise. It's not much about what would happen.
What's the future?
Also, yeah, it is future, because also what's the difference? For instance, when we talk, I'll bring you another example. What's the difference between strategy and vision? When we talk about strategy, we talk about 25 years plan.
Yes.
When we talk about vision, we talk about impact on the next generation within 25 years.
Definitely.
The same time period,
Yes.
but understanding is very different. But you nailed in the most important question: alignment. And this is not the easiest thing, because successful execution of a strong vision stands on a strong leadership. And a strong leadership is not about consensus. It's not about pleasing. It's not about personal ambitions. It's about being firm where we go. You could get a fantastic offer which sounds very promising, and you look at it and you're losing control of something. It's like driving on a highway, receiving an important call, forgetting about your steering wheel and trying to play with your phone. You're lost and dead. It's a matter of minutes or seconds.
Yeah.
The same in business. You must be firm, staying where do you go?
So focus. So we're learning here. You have to focus. Okay.
You focus, and you must maintain, as a strong leader, you must maintain a strong will within your team to achieve that vision. So it's not about pleasing, it's about creating or maintaining a will. And where a strong culture is critical, because without strong culture it's a mess.
It's a mess, yeah, that's definitely. And we've seen that everywhere now. Let's bring passion to the equation. So we have a vision, we have a purpose. Tell me about passion.
Passion and excitement. One of the 6 core elements, excitement and passion, of organization of vision structure. Vision is a strong emotion itself. If I have passion, my vision would be as a magnet for people's hearts. If I don't have passion,
people can
it's
feel it,
meaningless. No one would feel it.
Yeah, if you have passion,
whatever the funny words I will put on it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what I'm always saying is, if I have a vision, real vision, my passion would allow others not just to join me or follow me. It would make them passion multipliers, because they will gain passion and they will multiply it and they will expand its influence further and further.
Yes.
It will wake you up in the middle of the night, right? It will drive you nuts, because you will crush for it. You will fight for it because you believe in yourself. And it's a serious business itself.
Yes.
Passion.
You know what?
Because people buying something because of their passion.
Yes.
They're committing themselves because of their passion.
Yes. Let me
And
tell
this
you.
is most critical.
Let me tell you what. I'm going to actually put this one as credit to both of us. I wrote about this one a while back in an article, and it's published already. So, leaders out there, listen to this. What you're learning from our Dr. Oleg is this. From me and him is this. You have a vision for your corporation, for your organization, for your life in general. Find a purpose for it. Okay? Find a purpose and then put that passion behind that purpose. A passion without a purpose, or a purpose without passion, will die soon. So, vision, purpose, and passion. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree with this, fully agree. But I would add two more things. First of all, you must understand why do you need vision.
Yes.
Because the problem these days, as I say, we're living in the age of leadership blindness. We don't know why we talk vision, but we don't know why we need vision. And if you ask people, why do you need vision? And they're just like scratching their head and saying, oh, well, it's important. You know, they can't even clearly define why it is important. If you don't consider something important, would you value it? Would you fight for it? Of course not.
How do you create it? How do you create a vision? How do you come up with a vision? I know it's what it is, but for those who don't know, the reason I'm asking these questions.
I had a
Go ahead
phenomenal
and talk about
chart. I had a phenomenal chart with David Katz. He is the founder and CEO of the Plastic Bank. This is a social initiative company from Vancouver, right? He was looking for a solution how to clean the ocean from the plastic waste for 35 years.
Sustainability, I love it. That's good. Mm-hmm.
You know, and one of the days at Singular University lecture, he was looking at the lecture and he said, hey, it's a belt, you know, made of the 3D print plastic. And I said, how much did it cost? $80. Okay, what's the cost of the material? 10. And all of a sudden, David said to me, I realized here's a solution, because he grown up on one of the islands outside Vancouver, and you know, he seen this plastic waste washed on shore, and he was looking for a solution. Now he created an initiative. People who live on the coast of different oceans collect it, give it to him. He pays them in electronic money in exchange for food, schooling, medical service, Wi-Fi, whatever. He cleans tens of thousands of tons of plastic. He recycles it, sells it to the big companies, which use it as a recycled material. So he fights poverty, he cleans ocean, environment, and he created a system where plastic is a currency.
Yes.
Became a currency, right?
That's a purpose. I mean, that's a vision with a purpose, aligned with a purpose.
Exactly.
That's a good model, yes.
Yeah, and it took him years. Yeah, the final solution came like we say aha moment, but it took a long, deep, hard work on finding that solution. Another example is we all know about this Mendeleev periodical table from our days at school, you know, chemical elements. It took him 18 years to create, and we all know that it came to him when he was asleep. But actually, 3 days before that moment, he was working without food and sleep to find a solution, and it came to him. So can we say it came just like overnight? No, 18 years. So it's not a statement written in a during a conversation at the boardroom, like, you know, just like, oh, we would write that statement. Does it sound good? Oh yeah, cool. Go on, we'll buy it. No, it's a solution, hard won. It's not a gift. It's a hard work.
It's a powerful one. So let's assume this. A vision is not easily created. It comes naturally at one time. But the mission statement may take its place for an organizational setting. So this way, a vision is camouflaged with or a mission statement is camouflaged with a vision as a vision.
Yes.
A vision, as we just described, is not easily attained, obtained, or even created. Fair enough?
I would emphasize your statement because I fully agree with this.
Okay.
The actual companies with vision are not many.
Not many, actually, there are probably one or two.
No, not one
rarely,
or two.
Rarely, yes.
Really, because it's not easy. When you start talking with people about the vision and they're talking about the bottom lines, they're talking about some kind of fantastic result they achieved, it's not a vision.
Yeah,
it's not about the future. It's about just hitting a goal now. But it's very, very different.
That's what I'm saying, is it has to be something solid that deals with the core of society, whether it's environment, whether it's societal, has something to do with the improvement of others. And when a leader or a company that doesn't align that purpose with its mission statement or vision, it loses its existence, the purpose of its existence.
Because if you don't have a vision, you have nothing to share.
Exactly. You will fail with the long term, yes.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about culture. Culture, let's talk, how do you sustain the culture? First, what is a culture? Let's define for others, what's a culture?
Culture, as I said, in my view, it's energy, positive energy of all people that work together, their talents, efforts,
Let's give it a
competence.
definition. Let's give it a definition.
This is a definition. This is energy, because it's not a state of how we live or how we do things. No, it's an energy, because if it's positive, it drives us forward. If it's negative, it kills us.
Okay.
Because it creates dark kingdoms.
What do you think of the definition? It says it's the social norms, the behaviors, the rituals that we learn through times, through schooling, through religion, through education systems that made those things into a culture.
I love your question, because it's not about, I know it's not about you, but I often considered, and it sounds like a bit from Inquisition times, because it's a matter how we're supposed to behave. But the thing is, every company have own social code, which everyone control. Yes,
okay, let's go
and the thing is, when we're at school, it's one social code. When we're at university, it's another. When you're in the army, it's another social code.
Yes.
You know, family or neighborhood is another social code. But it's a matter who controls what, because we hardly control social norms. We could say, oh, it's not good.
We live by them.
But when we talk about social codes, we are all wardens, judges, and we control them because we are beneficiaries of it. And so we're fighting for those, because for us, it's a resource. Culture, in a good sense, it's like being in a mother's house, and I want it to be comfortable, nice, clean. And you know, when I consult or when I coach people on this, or when I've been researching this subject, what I have found, quite often, employees are more keen to create strong culture rather than leaders, because leaders are not positive. Oh, I need a quick report. I need some kind of a fancy massaged figures in, or digit in the bottom line.
Do you know why is that? Why is that? Why do employees?
Because they don't know how to do it, and as they can't handle it.
No, but how about the employees? How about the employees? Why the employees care about the culture than much the leaders, although the leaders do as well?
Here is the difficulty. You see, we can be good talking to each other, but it's not a one-directed force. We need leaders to show us how to create that beautiful culture.
Okay.
Because it's like we could have 100 great builders, but without architect, they can't create a beautiful building.
May I give you a few cents here, like
Yeah,
my
yeah,
opinion
sure.
on this? Because I don't know, I'm sure you're aware, but I also teach organizational leadership,
Yes,
management organization. I'm a professor at university,
yes.
MBA for students. So what I came up with, or I believe that the process is, the reason we create cultures is to create stability. We create a status quo that is stability is established, so society can live in a peaceful, positive environment. Not
I,
all the time, but it is there. That's the reason why
I
culture.
love it. I love it, and I could support it with two things. Culture reflects leadership.
Yes,
And if we talk from the point of stability, I would put it consistency, right? Because leadership stands on consistency of words, values, and deeds.
okay,
And people want the same stability in the environment, but stability, consistency of growth,
yes,
with, being devoted to something more important than themselves
yes,
instead of fighting for own grounds.
yes.
And this is important.
So
Thank you. Great point.
it's very interesting when you said the employees are fighting for the culture. So the employees are fighting for to maintain the status quo that is giving them a certain stability, quality of life, a safety, security. So it's very interesting to understand the dynamic how an employee will fight for the culture versus a leader want to maintain it.
I could offer you a simple, very simple test I do all the time. You're coming to any organization, any,
Okay, okay,
would it be university or, I don't know, IT company, ask people to define their culture. And the problem is, in most cases, people have difficulty to describe their culture beyond common words. Oh, nice, oh, friendly, oh, cool. Okay, just all this kind of a common words. Culture is far beyond this. But if people can't define it, how they could transfer or translate their culture to newcomers, how they can interact.
I like that. So
Whose fault?
this is where your orientation comes into play. So a culture is built for a purpose. The purpose is stability, right? So now let's talk about in in addition to what we were thinking about sustaining a culture, let's continue with the same thought is how a culture is created to a newcomer, or how it's translated or transposed to a newcomer. How do you make them part of the culture? You start and then I will add to it.
That's, if people in organization can't define or clearly understand in the environment they work with their clear values and what they create in terms of mutual interaction, because even people have difficulty explaining what values are. Value is how we see relationships with others. It's a verb of action. I do
Yes,
something for others. It's not about me, it's about what I do for others. So they can't translate it or explain it to a newcomer. If they can't explain it, a newcomer brings own definition, which often are quite
different.
dodgy,
Yeah, it's different.
very different.
Yeah, it's
It can
so.
be negative.
So how do you bring them in? Orientation, possibly.
Oh
Give them
yeah,
an orientation is how what the
yes.
company is. Socialization, bring them into company picnics, company ideas, companies, memos, whatever is out there in communication.
I believe you should have some kind of a scouts or ambassadors who could talk with these people and show them around, not in terms, okay, here we got a dress room or here we have, a tap wash, It's about how we support each other.
Yes.
And you hardly see such cases. I know a brilliant, I love talking with Gary Rich, who is head of WD-40, but the engagement rate is well above 90%. They're brilliant
That is
because they
brilliant.
call it tribe.
Yeah.
They are brilliant at this.
So they have tribes there. They don't have employees, huh?
Of course, you know, I had a good chat recently with CEO of company iVenture Solutions, 150 people company, COVID, all on lockdown. And what they did, they created a regular shows, kitchen cooking shows to each other. Their engagement is about 90% as well. So they were engaged on a personal level to support each other during that tough times. You know,
It
it's
has
not
to
about,
be.
yeah, it's not about something, but what's important, we bring people to organizations based on the job description. But it is a matter of explaining people their roles and how their roles are overlapping with everyone. Because our role is how I support others. My job description, what I'm responsible for. And this is very, very different things.
This is a
It's
fascinating
job
conversation.
descriptions keeps me fragmented from an organization, where my role shows me how I bring value to my colleagues,
Okay.
to my subordinates, to my customers, even if I'm not in direct contact with them, to organization itself. And so how it's overlapping with the roles of others. This is more important. And so when I'm getting somebody new in a company, I must, he's clever enough to read the job description. Come on, it will take him 5 minutes.
Doesn't happen.
You know, but the main thing is to show him around in terms and show him how his role is overlapping with the roles of others.
How about assigning a mentor for that individual while they're transitioning into the culture itself?
I think it's very, very critical. I'm a lucky person because I still have fantastic mentors in my life, whether in my business or in my in what I do now. I have phenomenal mentors, and actually, they help me to change my thinking in terms of how I see my role in terms of creating value for others even now. As I said, thought leadership is not about me, it's about finding solutions for others. Even if I'm not using it, but of course I'm using it, you know, all those solutions. And this
So,
is critical.
so okay, so it's fascinating what we just covered during this conversation, and time is not running out because we can go like another 2 hours with this. We have
Yeah, it
time.
is. I love your questions,
It's
actually, because
it's
it's not patterned questions.
no,
That's real.
your insight is also valuable. I wanted to touch on about a lot more things than we have here, but let's talk about briefly about values, ethics, ethical issues, how leaders can manage those or deal with them. How important are values to the organizations? Ethical values or otherwise, knowing right from wrong, and then tell me a minute or so about sustaining culture, if possible. And then I leave it up to you to what you want to cover next, and we call it.
All starts and all falls on values, because we often consider ethics as a set of the rules, but the rules are moldable. You know, we could change the rules in one way or another. We could emphasize certain part or few rules at a certain point, which would ruin the whole concept of ethics. in a very simple way and very quickly. But we can't bend values because we all agree on them, and we know that they are staying above everything. They define the way we see our relationships, how we support each other, and how we contribute to each other. It's not about those clever, nice signs on the walls in the office.
Okay.
It is about what people feel and follow. If we would consider how many rules can be created within one large organization, it probably would be like a Bible sick. It's not just, but can we create rules for every case, for every event, no, but we could correlate them to values. Ethics is about valuing others. Ethics, again, so it stands on value.
So values is what we believe in as an organization, and what drives us. In ethics, if I may take it further, is when we know the difference between right and wrong. So we take these values into a level where we determine this is right, this is wrong, when no one is watching. No one is watching us. Will tell
because
us
because rules would tell me I don't need to do it, or I can avoid it because no one is watching. But values, not. They are stronger. But what would define what's
they go in together. They go in together. They should go
exactly
together.
exactly. But what?
Because if you have values without ethics, listen, there's a problem out there.
You can't create values, because unethical values, we would not accept them.
But they do exist. That's the point.
Oh yeah, because reality is that I believe that I don't know the exact data, and probably no one would know this, but there are more organizations with negative or fragmented or counterproductive culture exist so far, whereas in companies with a positive culture. And we're still talking about positive culture, and we're ignoring the fact that we need to do something about organizations with negative culture. And people are still suffering.
Yes.
And whatever is declared, way about integrity, that means something wrong with these people, because integrity is the foundation. If you're emphasizing integrity, that means you're already cheating people. Come on, it's unfair.
It should be there, huh? It should be there. You should have no question about that. This is,
of course, it should be taken for granted.
Yes.
It's a norm. But the very interesting part, the second part of the equation, is about sustainability of culture. What happens? We are trying to live many years, long years, on the same meanings. What I have found, to keep culture strong, you must redefine, or say, assign new meanings to these rules of engagement with employees. Because think of a loyalty. For instance, if we consider loyalty, you are loyal, mean you just attached to organization. Then you talk to people and say, loyalty is about knowing everything about organization, even some kind of bad things or problems, but still being attached to it.
Yeah.
Then you talk to people. So you're giving people more meaning. By revitalizing culture, by adding more meaningful definitions and helping people to find their meanings in that culture. So what they will get in return, why they should be proud of what they do in terms of job satisfaction.
Yes.
We often consider job satisfaction as a matter of financial reward, but it is not. It is, if you're paying fairly within a market range, you're right. Then it comes how you could influence something or how you could change something for good. So give people that chance and they will find a meaning in it and they will be attached. So you must revitalize culture by allowing people or helping people to find a new positive meanings in it.
Engagement, you said it. And that will give us commitment, because the minute you have this engagement, loyalty breeds commitment, commitment of the employees and commitment of the leadership. And I believe it has to be mutual as well. The loyalty has to be
I could give you a simple example. If you get married 20 years ago, and if you look, okay, what was my feelings to my wife many years ago? And now,
yes,
we have a very different meaning.
Could be both, either positive or negative. Could be
but we're adding a new positive meaning every year or every day.
Or it could be negative because.
Oh yeah, but positive overcomes it, you know.
Yes. I mean,
a little fight, okay, but we won both.
You're right. The majority goes into a positive, more love, more tenderness to it. You can't live without that individual, or you end up in a divorce, which it's either or. But the mainstream, it is a positive all the time, which makes it.
Why we go for divorce? Because we don't envision each other in our future life.
Yes.
It's our personal vision.
Just you sign them out. You point. This point is well taken. My gosh, we have almost an hour now. We were thinking 30 minutes. I'm not going to edit none of this. I think it's all valuable. There are a lot of concepts come to mind. Equity, you touched on that. Inclusions, diversity, commitment, all these things, engagement, they play a part in creating culture. Also shared values. You know, it's no longer it's about the shareholders only, guys out there. This is old thinking. You have to think forwardly here. Employees, customer, shareholders, true, but also society. You have to think of the society with a purpose, with vision and passion. Please go ahead.
I would offer you a bit weird approach. Our thinking, our vision defines our evolution. You know, because our immediate evolution, and so our natural evolution might become something different. We are not witnessing it as such. You know, we're just trying to look at artifacts and say, yeah, our ancestors were just a bit shorter than us. No. But our vision, our commitment to the future defines how we would live. Because if we don't have a vision for the future will come anyway, right? But would it be satisfactory? No, because we will get something we don't like.
Exactly. Because we input nothing into it and we had no vision to it. Oh. If I may share something, I want to share this with everybody, and I share that all the time with my students, and the purpose is to enlighten them so when they make their decisions, they make it wisely. Every culture out there, whether it's religious, secular, or otherwise, we as human beings, we made it. So there's nothing as an obsolete. There's nothing as an obsolete out there.
No.
There's no obsolete culture. We made it. So these are meant to be broken. Norms are meant to be broken and improved so they can improve our human experience. And I'm sure you agree with that.
Absolutely. Because we a product of self-creation. You know, we created, we're a product. It's in terms of culture, it's in terms of thinking, it's in terms of encouraging each other, in terms of supporting each other. It's about what we create for the future, even not for tomorrow.
Yes. Yes.
That's critical. And I fully agree with you on this.
Amen to that. Dr. Oleg, it was
Thank you.
pleasure, great insight. Glad we did this after how many months? We planned this a long time ago, and now we finally did it. And with your encouragement, we put this thing together. So I thank you. Have a pleasant rest of the day, and we'll talk again.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.